here.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Sorcerer Supreme's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Doctor Strange from SH Figuarts. This is the, as far as I know, the American release, which comes with some extra goodies. I don't quite have that down pat in terms of how those releases work out. It doesn't ultimately matter, but we're looking at the one that comes with all of this stuff. So he absolutely positively comes with an amazing assortment of hands. He comes with 2 opposing hands for magic powers, and then he comes with 2 opposing hands using powers, once again, almost like using the Force. And then he comes with 2 of these hands, which are used to plug in the effects, and they're used like so, just by tabbing in this piece into this. And these effects are really cool. It's a thin piece of plastic, and then it has this stuff painted on. But it is, you know, under the harsh lights, it looks great. And I'm guessing that even, if it's backlit, it looks even better. But on a shelf, I'm not sure how they're gonna look. I'm gonna pose them at the end, and we'll take a look when we do some size comparisons. But yeah, I'm a little uneasy about how this will ultimately work. But I think it's a cool approach either way. And the paint job on these is absolutely phenomenal. And just in case I didn't mention it, which I don't think I did, he comes with 2 of each. So here's the other 2 that aren't being used to plug in. They're also not as, they're only painted on one side. So you definitely want to have the unpainted side against, the palm of his hand so that when he's being displayed, he shows the painted side. And then he comes with 2 relaxed set of hands. And they can also be used for, using powers. And then 2 different relaxed set of hands and used for powers. So just an amazing array of hand options. I would have maybe preferred that instead of 2 of the relaxed hands, or, the relaxed hands or the power hands, the force using hands, which are similar to the ones that are using the powers, that maybe we got more of this style with like the ultimate, like all mangled up fingers using the powers pose. But at least we got the options we did. And he comes with an alternate head sculpt. Once again, it's not that big of a difference between this and the original, which I do find strange. I mean, I guess it's nice to have the option, but I wish the option were a bit more, significant. Also, the paint job on the hair here doesn't look as good as the one that's on the figure as it is. Like, these colored browns don't match. It doesn't look like this brown was given that same wash, which is a bit strange. I'm not sure if mine is the only one like that, but it certainly seems to be the way that it is. Lastly, he comes with a bunch of flame effects. There's 3 bases, you'll be able to tell by the flat surface there, and you can kind of pose them however you want, making like almost a circle or a triangle, not like a square that has 4 corners, but like a circle. So you can do whatever you want with those. And then on top of those, it comes with 2 armatures. They're all kind of done the same. It's like a yellow translucent that has some orange paint, or maybe it's orange translucent that goes to yellow. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, they look amazing. And it has 2 of these, which have like ball joints basically that you can pop in and decorate, your fire effects. And then it has 4 of these extra niblets, which you just sort of kind of pop in around the flame effects to create, any given look that you want. I'm having a hard time doing it right here, but let's see. We'll do 1 and then we'll take a look. Like that, just add some effects. So ultimately in the end, you can get something like this, which does make a pretty cool display. So let's talk about the figure, which is pretty good. Once again, just a couple things I need to point out. So the head is on a double ball peg from the head into the neck, and then the neck, it feels like, is on a single ball peg from the neck into the torso. It could be a double, I just can't tell for sure. Articulation-wise, the only thing that gets in the way is this collar, which is a softer plastic, and it doesn't bother it too much, but it definitely hinders it a taste. But that just may be the cost of doing business. The dot matrix paint is done fairly well on the face. This hair is much better shaded, and it goes from a lighter brown to a darker brown in the front, so there's not as many issues there. And then the gray, it looks like has a bit more life in it as well. So all in all, no real complaints. We have some gold here on the collar piece, and then the collar softer plastic itself has some shading, some darker red shading, and some really tedious sculpt work done into it. Outside of that, we'll talk about the cape last. Of course, we got to comment on that situation. The evolution of toy capes. So the shoulders work really well. it's a butterfly joint at the shoulder, and because of the cut of the soft, like the soft robes, so to speak, you can get the arms really close in front of the chest, which is nice. And you can also get them back a fair bit, which is also nice. What you want, bro? And then you get the ball peg inside the torso coming out to a disc hinge, or is that, no, it's a ball hinge. So that gets you up to there. And then you get a swivel as well around the shoulder, and then a swivel at the elbow. It's slight, but you do get it. The elbow hinge is past 90 degrees on a single hinge and fairly clean, and all the sculpting of the robes looks great on the arm. We have a fair amount of paint here on the forearm, all the different bandages, which is done fairly well, but I must say it isn't perfect. There is some sketchiness in there. It gets a little bit outside the lines. Of course, it's a difficult piece to paint, but, you know, no excuses, right? And then for the wrist, we have a ball hinge at the wrist that swivels at both sides, so at the hand and at the forearm, so you can get in, out, and then you can manipulate it and get up, down as well. It is also tight, but I have done it there. There's up, down. And that covers that on both sides. For the torso itself, it's just a double ball peg from the upper abdomen into the lower piece, and then it has this soft floating piece over top, and then an additional soft floating piece. Actually, it's not floating. I think this is glued to the pelvis. Detailings wise, we have this light blue paint which has shading on it on both sides, and it's done really well. It has to be digitally done because it's just such sharp line work. It looks amazing. And then down here as well, and then we have the gold that's painted, and then his necklace is painted and the strap is painted, but it's only painted on one side of the strap. My other strap, doesn't look like got painted. For the soft floating piece, tons of sculpt work, tons of paint work. We have two different shades of like a copper and brown, and then a gold and a silver and a blue all done on it, and it looks fantastic. And then of course we have, it looks like airbrushing done to this blue here, which goes from a lighter shade to the darker shade up top, and tremendous sculpt work throughout. Same for these bottom robes, except it's just blue and then a lighter shade of blue, but it's all painted. If you look in the inside, that's the base color, and then it gets darker on the outside, and then we have blue accents, lighter blue accents throughout. The inner robes, like I said, are glued to the pelvis. The pelvis itself, you have T-jointed ball joints. They might even, it looks like they might even drop down. Because of the soft robes, you still get a pretty tremendous amount of articulation. We'll look at this leg because this one is giving me a bit more problems. I wonder if I spin this. Yeah, that helps a bit. Legs get fairly far out to the side and fairly far forward, so no issues there. The thigh swivels around the ball peg, and it's an additional hip joint. No, it's just around the ball peg. At least that's the way it seems. Yes. And then we have a single jointed knee, which is done fairly well, given that these are supposed to be pants and sculpted cloth and so forth. I think it's given what it is, it's done fairly well. And then we have the lower boots, which are all sculpted, painted, molded, looks beautiful, silver accents painted on and so forth. For the foot, we do have an issue. We have an ankle swivel. No, we don't. All right, so my foot is staying on at the moment. I'm not going to mess with it. It's a square peg that goes down into the bottom of this foot. The only reason why I know is because it came in packaging off, and it's been popping off as I've been manipulating this. This may be an individual results will vary thing, but the engineering won't be. As a result, you get very little articulation. Slight ankle tilt up, slight ankle tilt down, and then an ever so slight rocker. And it is very slight. One of the worst ones I've seen in regard to SH Figuarts. And then we have a toe hinge that's sculpted fairly well and at a good place in the boot. So yeah, looks fairly good. There it is from the back. Now let's talk about this cape. Issue number one, this soft piece should come down further to cover up because you have this unsightly kind of gap in the back, and you'll catch that unsightliness a lot from the front, which is a bit unfortunate. The sculpt, however, is beautiful, and all these designs in the cape are all sculpted and painted, and then it has some dark shading throughout the robes, or throughout the folds in the cape. It looks really good. Now, it's on 3 pieces. So there's one piece, which is this piece. These 2 pieces are connected to it, and it's on a hinge, so you can get it all the way back to there, which is nice. These 2 pieces are on hinges here and then swivels down into the cape. So you can get the hinges all the way out to there, but it definitely breaks the sculpt up to a ridiculous nature. I wish these would have been longer so you could have done some more dynamic poses with the cape. As a result, you only really get to there and to there, which isn't hateful, but it's not great. Now, the nice thing about it is at a hinge plugged down into the cape, so you can swivel it around, especially if you have the arms down, and get a little bit of a wrap around, so to speak, which is nice. So that's like a side profile. It's not flawless, and it's clunky. There's no elegance to it, but the thought is there, and it looks like they are trying to make some changes, like between this and the Batman, with the way that they're approaching capes, and I hope that this trial and error will eventually lead to something that we all agree is the right way of doing it. We're not quite there yet, but following this process is pretty interesting. Size comparison wise, there he is with the rest of my movie-styled Avengers from Figuarts and Figma. And, you know, nice size and complements the others, I think, extremely well. It's a good looking shelf right there. Unfortunately, it looks like I need to go to shelf 2 from now on, but that's a pretty good looking shelf. Final thoughts wise, the cape isn't quite right, but it's not hateful. The feet are poorly engineered in the sense of articulation, and they have a tendency to pop off, at least on mine. That may very well be, and individual results will vary. The accessories are all good, with the exception of those discs, which look cool enough, but I feel like they're just not quite vibrant enough. Like, it just doesn't scream that he's using his powers, which is a bummer, especially with the amount of care, pride, and effort that they put into them, which is obvious. And lastly, we're still in this awkward place where we're offering an additional head sculpt that I'm sure an additional charge that doesn't offer a whole lot more in terms of expression or options than the original head sculpt. Far more good than bad here, though. The sculpt is amazing. The paint is amazing. The articulation, with the exception of the feet, is absolutely top shelf. The amount of display options that you'll find between the accessories, including the hands and even the powers, as well as the way that the cape is able to manipulate, is almost endless. Even the issues that I've spoken about with the cape are not really visible in this pose. So there's an awful lot of display options, there's an awful lot of playability. It's fairly expensive, but it's an absolutely amazing effort. I definitely recommend it. I'm not really a Doctor Strange fan, probably because I would use my powers ridiculously. All right, ready to relax. Just need to... Where's the remote? All the way over there. But I must admit that I have to recommend this without a second thought. So, if you're a fan of Doctor Strange, if you're a fan of Figuarts, if you're a fan of cool figures, I definitely say add it to your cart. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.